Rhetico di Valpolicella. Rhetico di Valpolicella is a sweet wine, and it was the wine of the rich people of this area, from the lords of Verona, and also the lords that have the villa and the castle in the Valpolicella. And of course, 200 years ago, they were not interested in dry version of the wine. You know that dry taste is something that we developed in the last 100 years. Wine used to be sweet since the Roman times until the 18th century. So the Rhetico Valpolicella was the jewel of the Valpolicella, but of course for making the Rhetico you have these great crushed grapes that were still rich in flavor, and the farmers so the poor people that worked for these lords of Valpolicella used these almost exhausted grapes to make more wine, to add this juice to their light wines, to have more alcohol, more calories, to live, to have the so this is the origin of the Rhetico di Valpolicella. That is wine from Valpolicella. Then it adds some juice from the Rhetico. The Amarone is born from, we say, a runaway Rhetico. A Rhetico that cannot stop the fermentation, because of course if you want to start the fermentation you have to act on the temperature, you have to act on the precision, but if you don't act, sometimes the yeast goes try to transform all the sugar in alcohol. That's what happened for the first time after probably in the 50s, 60s, so after the World War II was the first example of Amarone. But it don't have immediate success. Also for the Valpolicella was famous for the simple red Valpolicella Classico, and Amarone was a phenomenon I think after the 80s or also the 90s, because it was not easy to develop the taste. People were not ready to understand this wine.
It was an accident.
They say it was an accident, or probably by purpose, we don't know. The story is... So, Amarone was in the idea of the people that discovered his name, was a defect, it was a problem. It was bitter, it's supposed to be sweet. Of course it's a problem if you want a sweet version. But not all the problem can be solved. If you react, if you find a market for a different style of wine, it can be a good happening for you. So we start for the first one. Is a typical Amarone with a lot of red berries and blueberry notes. It's a wild berry well mixed together with oak. We don't it's not so used the barrique. Usually, especially in the last year, Amarone they started with the barrique, but now they found that with the barrique it's really too sweet. So they try to use a bigger barrel, because you know the process the production process of Amarone means that you have to make the harvest in the October, depends on the vintage. Then you let dry the corvina for 2-3 months, 4 months, it depends on the season. And then when you when you make the fermentation, you need a particular kind of yeast that can be acted to transform this huge amount of sugar in wine, because the alcohol potential is not so far away from 20 alcohol degrees, so we are talking about Porto style percentage. Because especially in the last year, in the warm vintage, the Corvina is really the particular grape that develop a lot of sugar. So you dry the grapes, so more sugar, but the ratio between the volume of the liquid and the sugar is really important. The cedar sugar is between, okay, sometimes also for the drier version below 5, but you go also 15, 20, but the wineries of course don't tell you there is, but a way to, there are limits, I can tell you what is in, because of course you cannot go above 20, I think, but I don't want to say something correct. There we can look about. Because the problem is, because when it's so, a lot of sugar is not so stable in the bottle, no? It can be a lot of fermentation, so they try to put lower. But usually the more alcoholic is, the drier, of course. So when you see Amarone below 14, usually got a lot of sugar, residual sugar, because it's not easy to remove the sugar from the wine. Not like alcohol that you can remove. The sugar is really, you have to make a filtration, but it's really hard for the wines. You spoil your wine if you reduce the sweet. That's why they try not to sell the Amarone to people that like Barolo Brunello. They decide to go in other country. Usually they started from the colder climate, like Northern Europe, like Canada. You know, Canada, Amarone is a wonderful success, but in Canada it's not so warm like in Italy. It's almost minus the 0. Okay, so you see them immediately. You feel the sugar in your mouth is perceived. You can feel the sweetness, and you can feel the alcohol. You can feel also the structure, the full bodiness of the wine. That is very interesting also to drink a little bit at colder temperature. And the original success of Amarone is not the food pairing. Usually the Italian red wines are famous for the food pairing. With Amarone it's really difficult. You can think about some cheeses, some really important stewed meat, but the success of Amarone, they can drink the wine bar by the glass, or after, not in Italy, but in other country, after dinner when you talk with your friends in the evenings, instead of opening a beer, a bottle of Amarone just to talk with each other. So that's a wine that is good to be drunk also without any pairing. The second one is it's probably the drier version we will taste. You know, the nose is more similar to another Italian red wine like Brunello than Amarone. If you put this one amongst the Amarone, you cannot immediately say it's Amarone, but that's what the family want to do. So Amarone, they don't taste all the way like Amarone. So it's more also on the nose. There are also some flower, some violet notes, some spices, some herbs, aromatic herbs. You don't have this oak sensation, and this red berries and this vanilla sensation. It's not present in this wine. Of course, in mouth you feel more roundness, but you feel that the tannin is totally different from the other one. The first one is the Amarone that gained a lot of success for being a lot original. This one for me is one of the best example of when you try to put together people that tend to drink a little bit sweeter wine, but they don't want exaggeration on the sweet side. If you like Barolo Brunello, probably you will like this Amarone, but not the other Amarone. So this is very important because it depends really on the family of the person that make the wine. Amarone and also Primitivo can make you sort out different style of wine. Depends on what you want to do. The third one is another historical brand name for Valpolicella. Probably the first one they arrived in the United States and a foreign market. And the wine is yet elegant, rich, complex. Is got no flower notes, but a lot of fruitness. Not only berries, but also some apple, some plum, some apricots. sometimes the Amarone develops some notes of peaches. It's really strange thinking about the color, but sometimes when the sweetness is high. Is for cherries, strawberries, marmalade. In the mouth is probably amongst the first two. So the tannins are a little bit bitter. The bite of the tannins is more present. Alcohol, but the sugar is not so high. It's relatively easy to drink. Okay, they are not wine easy to drink, but is interesting. This one is less interesting than the other. If you're thinking about drinking without food, this one is not the best option, because this really, with this tannin sensation, needs some fat or some structure in your plate. The fourth Amarone is one of the most famous in the world, one of the best sellers in the world of this category, and you see the strong from the color, from the how we behave in the glass, and especially got a lot of more evolution. Got one more year, I think. I didn't sell the quarto l'annata, annata di Masi, ricordi? And so the vincer, of course, is different. The Amarone, he gets really when he age a little bit slower compared to the other one, 30% slower. So if you want to see, okay, you are 2012, but it seems much younger because, of course, the alcohol and the sugar help to preserve. It's not the acidity. No, they are not the same vintage. They are from 2014 and they go. So the in the years it really slower. I tasted some Amarone from the 50s and the 60s. They are really preserved. Sometimes they age like a Porto or a Sherry. You know that I'm talking about also 100 years. It doesn't not mean that it doesn't evolve, but really slow, like a champagne on the lees, that you have to wait 30 years to develop. No, so this is very interesting because when it travels, it's more resistant, it's more protected, and you can find really it's a sort of not of investment, but they are less delicate than other collectible wines. So 2012 was a good vintage in Italy, a lot of tannins, a lot of structure. Not fantastic to be drunk young, but in this moment they start to be interesting. You know that this one is relative gentle in the mouth. It's very a lot of equilibrium. It's very. It seems like the old wines from the Zinfandel, no, but it's not old wines. It's a mix of the best grapes, but it's not actually. But they are very. They were very able to select in the drier process, and it is especially important the tannins, because one thing that people don't want in Italian wines is not only the bitter side, but also the tannic, and also the combination between freshness and tannic or salt sometimes in your mouth. This one is a perfect example in which you can put together the sweet sensation, a little bit of tannins, the precise point of the acidity. So it's a good wine also for drinking for the wine bar, but also for the table. But also you can immediately say that it's Amarone, probably not by the nose, but in mouth, of course, you got this presentation of aromas that is really typical from this area. The fifth one of is another classic of the area. This family get used to make more sweet and round version of Amarone, and then they start to develop a more drier style. It's interesting because this family also bought a estate in Manduria. So it's one of the first event in which really we see it is pairing, it is confrontation between Veneto and Puglia. There are probably the two more different regions there are in Italy. So interesting that a lot of family they are starting from Veneto to invest in Puglia. This one got a lot of freshness, especially in mouth. It's really a little bit aggressive, probably needs more time in the bottle, and a really elegant, fresh, not only more red berries than blueberries, strawberry, cherries, and red berries, and it is a little bit of gamey notes, a little bit of game, some underwood, some Mediterranean, some sage, anise, really a well balanced mix of spices and tension. Possiamo servire gli altri,